Okay, hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you get to watch this presentation. So my name is Victor, and I'm going to be your anchor for this training. So this is the product design, the UI UX design series, and we're trying to lay foundation for students that are trying to go into product design. Now, one of the things with product design is not a skill that you just get into and succeed if you don't understand the concept, if you don't understand the precepts, if you don't understand the principles. Very, very key. And once we understand the principles, once we understand the precepts, once we get to go through all of that, then it's very, very easy for us to go into doing the designs, using the tools. Now in module 2, we want to look at wireframe and prototyping. In the previous modules, we've looked at what product design is. We've looked at the difference between UI and UX. We've also looked at some of the principles of design. We also looked at how do we get to start the process. We looked at questionnaire, we looked at surveys, we looked at maybe how to use data to inform our decision with respect to what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Because product designers, their goal is to create awesome products, awesome services, deliver awesome brand experience through any of the collaterals that the users are going to be interacting with. Either the design of the building, coming from the brand elements designed by the product designer, or the website, or the advert boards, or the books, the what's it called, the physical materials, or the mobile app, or the desktop interface. Whatever that is going to be developed has to come from the person that actually created the yardstick on which every design interface have to be based on. Now, for us to do that, we'll limit this training to applications in print, in mobile apps, and web applications. That's what we're going to limit this training on. So that is a little bit above intermediate, a little bit above intermediate. So that's why we're going to be looking at wireframing and prototyping. Let's see how these two can give us additional knowledge to become better product designers. In this module, we want to be looking at how to create low fidelity. So we have low fidelity and high fidelity wireframes. How do we prototype? How do we test our design concepts? And we want to look at user flows. I have quite a lot of examples. Let me say one or two examples for you, because awesome and professional product designers, like I said earlier on, don't just design because they want to design. They design because they want to solve problems. They also design based on user needs. And that's why we're going to be learning about user flows and user journeys, right? So the user flows, what's going to be step 1, step 2, step 3 across while using the particular product, using the particular service, or interacting with the brand. Now, low fidelity wireframe. So this starts from a simple sketch. Depending on whether you're going to be using a pen and paper, I use a pen and paper most times, or if you prefer to use a board, or you decide to use a drawing tablet, normally a kind of a screen that's attached to your system, if you are conversant with that, or if you want to do that, or you can use any low fidelity software to sketch out what your design is going to look like. Sometimes we call this 2D, times we call it just lines, right? There's no color here. So this is just a combination of lines. Now, what's the purpose of a low fidelity wireframe? So it will help us quickly and easily test and validate design concept and user flows without being bogged down in too many details. It's just a sketch. So I'm going to have a menu here. Look, I think I'm going to share a sketch that a student that is doing web design, web development, just sent like a moment ago. A moment. Okay, so I've grabbed that particular image, and this is it here. Just a second. So this is it. So student is trying to create this. So Image Brain TV, it's one of our students in one of our physical locations in Nigeria. So he's trying to create this. So this is what you call like a low fidelity diagram. So I think I tried replicating this with HTML, CSS. That's why you're going to be learning some basics of HTML, CSS, and maybe some JavaScript. The reason is that, okay, this is what the student sent. So he said he wanted to create, just this morning, less than 2 hours ago, he said he wanted to create a login form, this, and an activate me or a submit button. A background should have a color. Maybe this place should have an image. Then this place can maybe have an image, then and an agree, right? And this is what I ended up creating. So I gave this to him and told him he can modify this. This font can be white so that there's contrast. So that's element of design. We'll get to that later on. Then we have a username, password, all of that, right? Now, and at times, as a product designer, you're going to be told to do a design and maybe do an export or a conversion from the product, from what you've designed to basic HTML. So depending on how large your team is, if your team is very large, it then means that you will be concerned with the user surveys, getting the requirements, coming up with a sketch, moving up to something like this, then later on moving up to 3D, something like this. Let me look for, let's say, a login screen. Let me look for a login screen. So I'm on Behance. So everybody taking this training, it's not the right time to go open an account. So this is a task, this is an assignment. Go open an account on Behance.net. So most of your portfolio, you're going to be uploading them here. And also most of your research and research, most of your research, you can be coming here to do some of your research to learn from standard guidelines. Because one of the ways to become good is to look at what other persons that are good or seemingly good are doing. So come to Behance, go over to Behance.net and create an account. So let me check a login or a register page. Register page. Yes. So if you come to Behance and look for a register page, this is what a sign-up box can look like. So this is for volunteer. I'm loading it. So don't forget, the UI UX designer is going to do a sketch. From a sketch, is going to go to a simple 2D. From a simple 2D, he's now going to go to a 3D, like a full-fledged design. From this, we'll now move to actions, or that is prototype for this. So we want to put in username and password and next, and see what the next screen is like. So this is like the interface. Then later on, we will now start creating the subsequent pages or subsequent screens, and now see how we can interact between these screens and the subsequent screens. That is user experience. So how seamless or how neat it is, we tell if we are doing a very good job. So the process is, we have our wireframes. Then from our wireframes, we'll do our 2D. From 2D, we now move over to design our 3D, right? We're not designing our 3D. So this is what we're now going to give to the front-end designer. If you are a product designer and you have web programming skills, is a very good plus. But if you want to concentrate and focus just on product design, that's still excellent. It then means that you're going to be working with front-end designers to bring your job to life, because this is just an image, right? If you right click now, this is an image. I can save this image, or I can screenshot this image and tell, okay, this is a quote here. right? I can upload this to the cloud. Just a moment. So I can give this to a product designer and he's going to like replicate this or make this better or learn from this combination of several designs. Then, but we'll need somebody to convert this to images, the fonts, the color, that's the HTML, the CSS, and the interaction. The interaction is where the JavaScript comes in. So later on in this program, we're going to be doing some basics of HTML, CSS, JavaScript for product designers. Because if you have that skill set, it then means that you will be able to better collaborate with other front-end engineers. You're able to better collaborate with them in delivering projects. If you're going to do a full-fledged website, it starts from the meetings. From the meetings, you will do the sketches. From the sketches, the 2Ds. From the 2Ds, you get to the 3Ds. From the 3Ds, you now proceed to what? You now proceed to the actual application. So having a little bit of knowledge in HTML, CSS is very thoughtful, is very, very awesome. Okay, so we're talking about low fidelity. So this is what low fidelity looks like, this guy here. So this is low fidelity. So it just helps us to quickly understand what we're trying to do. Now, let's talk about prototyping. So prototyping and testing are crucial steps in the UI/UX design process. It allows designers to test their ideas. So in prototyping, we're looking at low fidelity and we're looking at high fidelity. So later on in the course, I'm going to showcase some examples of existing projects that we have from some we're going to get online to explain to you the advantage of prototyping. Because if you can prototype, it then means that you can understand the flow between A, B, C, D till the end. It gives you an idea of what the process or what the experience of the user, what the experience the user is going to have. It gives you the idea. If you don't prototype, you might think, oh, the project is going to go awesomely well. Because this is like if it is a mobile app, for instance. So this is a mobile app. This is like the front screen of a mobile app, a mobile phone. This is like the icon of the particular app. Then once you click on it, you get to a sign-in screen and register screen with the social media handles. Then from here, you get to the page where you can see maybe the website or the application or something with some image, maybe logo, menu, some details and the rest, with some buttons here. Or icons here. Then if you click on this, maybe any of this item, you get into this page. So the job of the product designer is to create all of the different screens for the application. Take an instance. You want to do a delivery app. That's a case study. You want to do a logistics app. That's a case study. You want to do a hospital management system that is going to be based on a mobile app. That's a case study. So in your design, once the different screens are done, your responsibility is also to tell how the flow is going to be like. From here, what do we get to? Because from that flow, the front-end engineers are going to create the links. The back-end engineers are also going to create the logic behind those actions. But it first starts from you, the product designer that's going to be creating the interfaces. Now, like this guy, if you click this button, he's saying, okay, if you click this button, you go back to the home page. If you click this button, you go back to the previous page. So you are the one to, from the experience, from your user research, from all of that, you have to create what the flow it's like. And of course, you can prototype it. One of the good advantages of prototyping is that you can actually present how the end product is going to be at the end of the day, right? Without even creating the product. It's like a demo. Now, during testing, there are some concepts we need to understand. So there's what we call user testing, right? User testing, availability, usability testing. So observing how users interact with the design and collecting feedback to identifying areas for improvement. That's user testing. Usability testing, testing design to ease design's ease of use and effectiveness of its features. So most of the times in usability testing, you're looking at the features, what you have on ground, then to see if it's good or not good or what issues it has and how effective it is. Whereas in user testing, you are looking at how the user interacts with your design. Now let's talk about user flows and user journeys. Now, for anybody that is going to interact with your application, the person will click here, to the next click here, from there, click here, fill a form, like that. There's always a flow. So user flow is a visual representation of the path a user takes to complete a task, achieve a goal within a product or service. Take, for instance, if I need to, let me show you something. So we did this flow for one of the projects we did last year. So it's a multi-user system, right? So we built this using draw.io. So now is the best time to go to draw.io and register an account. So we have about 3 accounts now. So we have a Figma account, we have a draw.io account, and we have a behance.net account. So like I said, it's a free online diagram software for making flowcharts, process diagrams, organizational charts, user model language chart, ER, and network diagram. So this is to help you design your flows. If you open it, you see some of the samples. Now you're going to see that it's going to help you create flows. And BPMN is a business process modeling notation. If I got that right, yes, business process BPMN. So, you know, when we talk about business processes, now, one thing a product designer needs to understand that you are trying to ease the business process for an enterprise or for a brand. It can be that you want to, let's say, a shopping app. One of the, yes, business process modeling notation. So one of the thing you want to do is to make sure that you understand the business processes. Business processes are typically the day-to-day runnings of a business. Take, for instance, buying, selling, marketing, logistics, advertisement, HR. All of these are business processes. Like in an ERP software, enterprise resource planning software, how things move from one point to the other, accounts department, all of that. All of this, we consider them as business processes. Business processes enables organization to deliver on their strategic goals. Now, the product designer comes in to see how to make this process seamless. That is the solution you are bringing on board. And the user flow, the business model process language, or at times a universal model language, a UML, or simply put, a user flow helps us understand that better and see where there are bottlenecks, see where there are bugs, see where there are issues, so that we can make the process seamless. Don't forget, we want to create interfaces that makes the experience very, very awesome to the users. So one way you can do that, especially at your planning stage, is to create the flows, is to create what the process from point A to point B is going to be. So take, for instance, this is a journal application. So you have a multi-user systems. Are you a user? If yes, log in. If no, create a membership account. After creating a membership account, you go to email and you log in. Then you sign in. You have to select your type of subscription. If you select it, you go to pay and you get an email confirmation. If you have subscribed, if yes, then it will ask you to renew your membership after every maybe 365 days or 30 days. You see, you have used a flow document to explain what the front-end engineer, the programmer, is going to code. And of course, what the backend is going to assist him to also deliver. If the product designer that have interacted with the user or the BA that have interacted with the user don't do this, what's going to happen is that people are going to be having bad experiences trying to know what to do. Do I do this? Do I do that? That's why even one of the things a quality assurance or a software tester, maybe at entry level, is going to do at the end of the project is to create user manuals, is to create software guides, usage guides, is to create non-technical user guides. And those guides are based on the user flow. You cannot create a user manual different from what the system is representing. If it's a mobile app, they're going to tell you how to register. Click here with screenshots. They're all based from the guide that did the user flow. Then once you're on your dashboard, there are a few things you can do. You can go to the online store. If you're on the online store, you search for the items. You select the item, you add to your shopping cart, you make a purchase. If the purchase is a subscription, if it's a bank account or whatever, you go to the payment gateway. From the payment gateway, once you pay, it's added to your library. You can expand this. The idea is that we want to build something that we fully grasp, understand. We can tinker with it, we can adjust it, and it gets final approval. This is what the flow looks like. You get final approval. Once we get that final approval, then we can now start creating the UIs. Then we can now start creating the UX. Then we can now start creating the front-end application. Then we can now start creating the back end to drive the entire process. But understand that it starts with understanding the visual representation of what actions the users are going to take to achieve a goal. It shows the step involved in completing the task. I just explained to you, right? If I want to take, for instance, if I want to, let's talk about the forum section of this application. So one of the things I want to do is I should have logged in. I should be on my dashboard. See, that's why you see, I tend to call this planes, right? In business analysis, right? So if you're taking a business analysis course with us, either Clarkachi Technology Limited, or you're taking any of the business analysis course with Saltech or Tech Career Switch, any of our training arms, this is very key, right? So to be a better BA, you want to contribute technical knowledge to your team. And also for a product designer, you want to be able to help your team create better products. So if I'm here, forum section, I put in my username, I search for the topic, enter the question, search interest, I post, and I view question and answer. So each of these items can be expanded further. Now, one of the advantages of having the user flow, the 2D, the 3D, before coding the application or developing the application is that you have less issues. You have less back and forth with the clients, with the stakeholders. There's great disadvantage if you start developing a software and application without input from the users, without first creating the user flow and understanding the journey that the customer goes through in using the application. If you don't do that, what's going to happen is that you're going to create an application that you feel that you think like, or you think that is okay. And when the customer starts or the user start using it, they start making complaints. They start saying, okay, I'm looking for this, I cannot find this. Or when I click this, I expect this to happen and I'm not seeing that. You start having lots of bugs. It's because you didn't first represent the flows, look at the journey, the emotions, the expectations, the motivation for every user. That's why you see some website, you have some items on their menu, and after some time that changes and you have some other menus. Data can be gotten from statistics and analytics from the application of the website or the product or the service, and that can inform what the user interface can be. Take, for instance, we are having a lot of persons that are visiting a particular page. It then means that we should bring that page to the front section of the website. because most of our users are coming to that website because of that page. So that page shouldn't be hidden. That page shouldn't be a sub menu. That page shouldn't be like an inner page. That page should be looking at the user right in front. So it makes the website very intuitive so that I don't need to search for things. Any application, any product where a user will have to be looking at for things, wow, the user is going to have a bad experience. So this is just what I explained earlier on. So this is an example. You start, you log in. If the login is correct, you view your account, you check your balance. If it's incorrect, you try logging in. If it's correct, you move to view account. If it's not correct, 3 trials, if we can log you out. If you have a very awesome team, you can have inputs from security analysts to discuss, stakeholders at the onset of your project to contribute to your user flow or what your process is going to be like. Why? This is a security issue here. How are we sure that somebody that is a hacker, a spammer, is not trying to access our websites? Are we having things like a captcha? A captcha is something like this in case anybody. So this is what a captcha looks like. So captcha is just going to, wow, form. So captcha is going to help us restrict, oh, wow, what kind of results am I getting? Login. So captcha is that guy you see on your website where you're trying to fill a form and it tells you to check the box so that, am I not spelling it correctly? You check the box so that it confirms maybe you're a human, confirms whether you agree to something or verify all of those. So that's what you call the captcha. This is taking time to load. So that captcha is going to help us reduce the resources, the bandwidth on our website, so that we log the person out or tell the person to come back in the next 24 hours, or we tell the person to reset his or her password. So if his password is, if it matches our database will resend the person an email. If it matches, we give the person access to. If it doesn't match, we tell the person to register afresh. Right? If the password reset is done, then we can now go out of this box and go and view the account. So this is the user flow. So as a designer, you have to think about the user in deciding what the different screens are going to be like, right? All the different screens from username, login, and all of that. So the user flows, they help identify areas where user may struggle or get frustrated, highlight opportunities to improve the user experience and create a seamless journey for users, provide a framework for testing and validating design decisions. Like I said earlier on, it's based on what you have in the user flow that you're going to be testing. So you're going to be testing because once the product designer have created the flows, the front-end engineer is going to deploy that. The back-end engineer can also come out and develop all of those stuff. Now, the software tester or the quality assurance guys or any person or in that rank is going to come and now test the application to validate what has been planned earlier on, or to see what the user is going to face while trying to use the application. So one of the tasks we're going to be working on is going to be for us to develop a wireframe and prototype for an e-commerce website, including the comprehensive user flow and journey mapping. So if you're taking this course in any of our platforms, we'll get back to class and we're going to trash all of this. We're going to be using Figma. We're going to be using to do our prototyping. Then we're going to be using, we can also use Figma to do the wireframe. Then we're going to be using draw.io to create our user flows. So we're going to be creating for an e-commerce website. Okay, I think that is all for module 2. Once we return, we are going to be looking at visual designs. If you have questions, don't forget to ask in the description. And if you're taking this class in any of our physical classes or remote classes, do all to ask your questions, and it's going to be responded to.